Coming up on TV2 News, find out how man's best friend will soon protect Kent State students from explosive threats.
2 are dead after a refinery fire in the Toledo area. How fire officials and the company are responding.
And President Biden says the U.S. is not seeking conflict with China. We've got the latest coming up.
Finally, the Golden Globes are coming back to television. We've got the details and more as TV2 News at 6 starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Good evening, Kent State and all of Portage County. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joshua Bailey.
And I'm Matt Corrali. Tonight, we start off our newscast with a new addition to the Kent State Police Force.
Yes, our reporter Alexandria Manthey has more on how a Labrador Retriever will defend students from safety threats and simultaneously work as a therapy dog. Hi, Alex.
Hi guys, that's right. Kent State Police will soon have a new furry friend on the force. I spoke to K-9 officers about how KSU's newest addition will soon help keep students and community members safe. Meet the newest member of the Kent State Police Force, a 4-month-old Labrador Retriever, Salem, here to help sniff out explosives.
So really anytime you see a large-scale event that is taking place here, you can be assured that we are working behind the scenes doing an explosive sweep.
Salem's addition comes just at the right time.
It's great to have a puppy around. You know, we love Coco and Dexter as well, but Coco is getting older, and it's great that we are prepping for Coco's retirement. So hopefully that goes seamlessly, and we always have the explosive detection dog here on campus.
Police say the reason for choosing a lab is to have Salem also act as a therapy dog for victims of crime and to help support local police and firefighters.
In a couple of years, as he grows into his role and settles down a little bit from, moves out of that puppy phase and gets comfortable in his explosive detection work, that we can start to work on that a little bit as well.
While Sergeant Spar has extensive experience training working dogs, this is the first time she has raised one from the puppy stage.
A former canine handler and trainer is helping me with his training because it's really difficult to do that training alone.
Meet the newest member of
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit.
K-9 Officer Spar says they are working diligently with Salem's training to ensure he is ready to take over in time for Coco's retirement. Reporting live from the Franklin Hall studio, I'm Alexandria Manthey.
And the Ravenna Police Department is also adding new canines to its department. The department adopted 2 German Shepherds that will serve as drug detecting and tracking dogs, and 1 Australian Labradoodle that serves as a trained therapy dog. While the Labradoodle is ready for duty, Police Captain Jake Smallfield said the 2 German Shepherds are in training and should be in patrol in October.
Kent State University is holding their 2nd annual Banned Books Read-In tonight. The event celebrates the country's First Amendment right by bringing in and reading an excerpt from books that are either banned or have been challenged by the public. Free fruit and prizes will be handed out, and if you're interested, there's still time to head down to room 226 in Taylor Hall as it ends at 7 o'clock. Well, with everyone here on campus being settled for a new school year, Kent State's class of 2026 did that in a big way. It was announced by the university earlier today through email that there are 4,251 first-year students that say they take classes at Kent State University. That total is a 7% increase from the class of 2025, making it the largest class since the pandemic began and the 8th largest in university history.
Good evening, Kent State and all of Portage County. I'm your weather anchor, Nuried Hurtado, with your weather forecast for tonight. As for right now in Kent, we have a temperature of 84 degrees, but it feels like 88. We have these warmer temperatures going on. We have a dew point of 57 degrees with a humidity of 55%. The winds are going west-southwest at 9 miles per hour, and we have a visibility of 9 miles. For tonight, we're gonna have thunderstorm likely at the evening, starting at 7 p.m. around that time, so take that in mind. The temperature is gonna drop to 58 degrees, and the wind is gonna be west 10 miles per hour. There is a chance of scattered thunderstorms overnight, so take that in account if you're planning on going somewhere overnight. For the rest of tonight and tomorrow, we have scattered thunderstorms at 7 degrees at midnight. But tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., we're gonna have a drop in temperatures that is gonna be 62 degrees and it's gonna be mostly cloudy. But don't worry too much because at noon, we're gonna have a partly cloudy skies. However, the temperatures are gonna stay in that lower 60s. That's all I have for you right now, but don't go anywhere because I have your 7-day forecast ahead.
Several schools across Northeast Ohio are still struggling to find teachers and bus drivers.
That's right, Josh. And Crestwood local schools in Portage County are among the districts suffering from the shortages. TV2's own Gabby Jonas spoke with the superintendent to learn more.
Math teachers, science teachers, you can't find them. Foreign language teachers, they're just not out there.
Across the country, districts are facing the growing issue of teacher shortages. I spoke with Superintendent David Toth, where he says finding these teachers at Crestwood local schools is an increasing problem. The lack of people wanting to go into the education field being the main contributor.
When I first started here 10 years ago in elementary, we'd have post an elementary position teaching job, and we'd have, for one position, we'd have like 200 applicants. Now we have like 15.
Even before the pandemic, the OEA says additional concerning factors are turning people away from helping students learn.
But when you layer pandemic pressures and the political attacks and, funding challenges and the education reform test stuff, and then just the lack of money to be able to provide fair compensation, I think all of those things just kind of compound.
And with school back in session, there is also a need for bus drivers on top of substitutes teachers for the start of the school year.
In fact, we had to adjust all our middle school schedules for sports because we didn't have bus drivers enough to do, take the kids to the sporting events. But if you don't have drivers, what are you supposed to do?
And for the transportation supervisor at Crestwood, getting children home safely is top priority, meaning that taking over tiring shifts for big yellow drivers is worth it.
I just love the kids. I love the buses, drivers. If you like kids and you want to be able to have an influence on a child's life, then being a bus driver is something that would work well for them.
Reporting in Portage County, I'm Gabby Jonas, TV2 News.
In Akron, the city's public schools district is taking a new initiative to make sure its school buses are sanitized. Buses now have devices that can spray disinfectant on the front and back of the vehicles, along with an air filtration system that helps disinfect buses. Akron Public Schools has 100 buses district-wide, and each bus has 2 devices installed.
The Ravenna Planning Commission is set to review a proposal next week for a medical marijuana dispensary on North Chestnut Street. The applicant, Simple AG, anticipates that construction will begin in November, with the store opening in February. The Planning Commission is not expected to vote on the application until after a public hearing in October. If the plan moves forward, Supergood PC would be the second approved medical marijuana dispensary in Portage County.
2 are dead after a fire in Oregon, Ohio at the BP Husky Toledo refinery. The workers were brothers, who were severely burned in the fire and taken to the hospital where they later died. The fire broke out on Tuesday night around 6:30. BP says the fire was out just over 3 hours later at around 10:15, and the refinery was shut down and remained offline Wednesday. The company has not said what caused the fire.
And a Trumbull County resident who's been on death row since 1987 just received his execution date from the Ohio Supreme Court. After repeated pushback, 55-year-old Danny Lee Hill is set to receive the lethal injection on July 22nd of 2026. Hill murdered a 12-year-old boy in 1985 and was convicted of aggravated murder, kidnapping, and arson in 1986. Hill's sentence follows years of appeals in state and federal courts.
President Biden says that the U.S. is not seeking conflict with China. We've got the latest coming up.
And a new TikTok challenge among teens has gone viral. What the FDA wants you to know about this trend.
The College of Public Health at Kent State University prepares students for careers in some of today's most exciting health fields. Public health professionals impact lives by monitoring clinical trials, advocating for mental health, supporting active lifestyles, and more. The College of Public Health also offers open courses for any major, including its most famous course, Zombie Outbreak. Public health students can even study abroad and are encouraged to join the Public Health Student Alliance. For more information, visit kent.edu/public health. Public health, solving our problems together.
This world should see these outrageous acts for what they are. Putin claims he had to act because Russia was threatened. But no one threatened Russia. And no one other than Russia sought conflict.
Welcome back, everyone. President Biden has said that he is sticking to the One China policy, which has kept the U.S. and China from conflict for nearly 4 decades. The statement was delivered at the 77th UN General Assembly in New York City, as these comments are coming after the 46th president went on CBS's 60 Minutes and said that the U.S. would defend Taiwan with American troops if the country was invaded by China.
Russian President Vladimir Putin added more troops in Ukraine, signifying an escalation of Russia's war in the country. Putin also threatened a nuclear attack if the Ukrainian territory of Kyiv continues its efforts to reclaim the land. The announcement came just a day after 4 Russian-controlled areas said they would stage votes this week of breaking away from Ukraine and joining Russia.
Former President Donald Trump is being sued for fraud. New York State Attorney General Letitia James is also suing Trump's 3 adult children and other senior members of his team on accusations of Trump Organization misstating its value to avoid taxes and secure favorable loans. Trump has repeatedly said that this investigation is politically motivated.
And Trump is also being sued by writer and columnist E. Joan Carroll, who said Trump sexually harassed her in 1990. Carroll plans to sue the former president under a New York law that lets sexual assault victims file suit years later. In the court documents filed Tuesday, Carroll's attorney told a New York federal judge that her client intends to file a lawsuit against Trump as soon as the statute authorizes us to do so. Trump has repeatedly denied the allegations. His attorney did not respond to a request for comment.
Today, the Federal Reserve made history with its 3rd straight third-quarter point hike. This decision stems from trying to tackle an inflation that has been plaguing the U.S. economy. The hike takes the central bank's benchmark leading rate from 3% to 3.25%, the highest the Fed fund rates have seen since the 2008 global financial crisis.
And in Guatemala, supporters and members of the Farmer Development Committee took to the streets of Guatemala City on Wednesday morning. Demonstrations gathered to protest against the corruption and high cost of living in the country. They also demanded the resignation of public officials after they believe the leaders have promoted impunity in Guatemala.
Overnight, Hurricane Fiona, which has caused much destruction across the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, has been intensified to a level 4 hurricane. The storm had maximum winds of 130 miles per hour and was moving north as fast as 8 miles per hour. Multiple deaths have been reported in the wake of Fiona, as it has caused power outages all across its path and water supply issues.
That's right, Matt. While Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic are dealing with that, we also have our own weather forecast. Let's see how everything is going on in Northeast Ohio. As for right now, we have temperatures around 84 in Kent, Canton, Worcester, and Youngstown, including Mansfield over the west. Also, we have in Sandusky 81, Cleveland 82, and Ashtabula 80 being the lowest temperature for today. We have really high temperatures today around Northeast Ohio, but zooming out to our whole state, we have 88 in Columbus and Dayton, 89 in Cincinnati being the highest temperature for the day, 85 in Lima, 84 in Akron, 87 in Athens, and 83 in Steubenville. We are keeping that rate of 80s and getting closer to the 90s with Cincinnati. For the 7-day forecast, we have on Thursday, we're going to have 61 degrees. That's going to be the highest temperature after the storms that we're going to have. On Friday, we have the same, and Saturday too, The weekend we're gonna have temperatures on the higher 60s, but starting Sunday we're gonna have showers all throughout the week, getting to the highest temperature of 58. So take those jackets out, take those raincoats and those umbrellas out if you are planning on doing anything around this next week. That's all I have for you today. Stay safe with those thunderstorms going on and enjoy these upcoming days. See you next Sunday.
Thanks, Nuried. The Washington Monument is temporarily closed for cleaning and repairs after it was vandalized Tuesday evening. Police say a man splashed red paint and wrote a profane message on the monument. U.S. Park Police identified the suspect as Sean Deaton of Bloomington, Indiana. Deaton was taken into custody and charged with trespassing. It is still unclear when the monument will reopen for public access.
Don't cook chicken in NyQuil is something the FDA is enforcing Americans after a new social media challenge encouraged young people to cook their poultry in the basic ingredients in NyQuil and other over-the-counter cough products. And this one is dangerous even if you don't eat the chicken. That's because the FDA says boiling medication can change its properties, making it more concentrated, as just breathing it in can damage your lungs.
And the Golden Globes are coming back to the silver screen. Find out how the award show is making its return when we come back.
To their winning ways in Chicago, stay tuned to see if they can defend first place against the White Sox.
And now, your TV2 Sports Report.
Portage County, I'm Brady Hamilton, and let's get into some sports updates. The Kent State women's soccer team is back at Dick Stadium tomorrow night for a premier matchup. It is a rematch of last year's MAC tournament semifinal against Ohio University. The Flashes won a thriller in the semifinal with a final score of 3-2, ending the Bobcats season. This will be the 33rd meeting the two teams have met, and Kent State leads the all-time series with a record of 15-14-3. The game is set for 7 p.m. on Thursday. We jump into the fifth where it is 5-1 Guardians, and Josh Harrison makes an unbelievable diving catch, and it might have been the best play the White Sox made all night. Tied at 1 here in the sixth, Pollock with a grounder to Andres for the first out. But what the heck are Rosario and Owen Miller doing here? The error allows the White Sox to take a 3-1 lead, and the crowd is going crazy in Chi-Town. Down 1 in the seventh, the Guardians looking to stay alive with 2 outs, and here's Jose Ramirez, who hustles down the line for the infield single, and the Guardians tie the game up at 3. Here in extras, Josh Naylor, owner of the White Sox, does what he does best, and he crushes the hopes and dreams of the Chicago fans with an RBI single here in the 10th. After the White Sox tie it up at 5, Miles Straw gets the lead right back here for the Guardians with his shot, and they would go on to win this big game 10-7 after 11. And the Guardians extend their AL Central lead. And here's what the AL playoffs look like if the season ended today. After the win over the White Sox, the Guardians build their AL Central lead to 5 games and remain as the 3 seed, and they would host the 6-seeded Seattle Mariners if the wildcard round, and while the 4-seed Toronto Blue Jays would host the 5-seed and fellow AL East rival Tampa Bay Rays. The Houston Astros have already clinched the AL West and are the 1 seed in the AL as of now, while the New York Yankees still lead the AL East and are the 2 seed. It will be interesting to see how these Cleveland Guardians can make it in the playoffs. That's all I have for you tonight. I'm Brady Hamilton, and make sure to tune in at the same time next week for more sports updates.
Brady, thank you. The Golden Globes are coming back to the silver screen. Find out how the award show is making its return in our Hollywood Minute when we come back in a minute. Stay with us.
Do you remember the 21st night of September? This question has been asked all day on social media as a nod to Earth, Wind & Fire's song, September. The funk classic was released in 1978 and quickly hit the Billboard Top 100.
That's right, Josh. The hit typically rises in streaming during the month of September. On last year's 21st night, the classic was streamed 322% more than the previous day. What will today's streaming look like? Well, those numbers have yet to be released. Finally tonight, the Golden Globes are returning to television. CNN's David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
The Hollywood Foreign Press Association, Dick Clark Productions, and NBC say the Golden Globe Awards will be back on TV January 10th, 2023. This year's event went untelevised amid the HFPA's diversity and ethics controversies.
All right, what are we waiting for? Where are we?
No murder weapons recovered at the scene, but it was messy.
The intelligence unit is back in a new season of Chicago PD. The cop drama joins its sister shows, Chicago Fire and Chicago Med, in a new Chicago Wednesdays block starting tonight. Cast member Marina Squarciati says Chicago's weather has an impact when filming.
We are shooting now and airing in the show. These episodes will air in October. So you don't want to see us in short sleeve. We're sort of mimicking what the audience is going through. And so we're in coats right now, and it's balmy and beautiful. And the boys are sweating and the girls are like, they're like, I could live like this.
There's a hurricane in my head, but the lightning in my heart makes it worth it. Yeah, I still get nervous.
You'd be nervous too, performing atop the High Roller Observation Wheel in Las Vegas. It's an appropriate setting for John Legend's latest music video. He's returning to Sin City to perform the final shows of his Love in Las Vegas residency at Planet Hollywood beginning October 14th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
All right, so we just got some recent developments. As we were going to break, Josh here, you've never really listened to the song,
I've
September?
never really listened to it, but when you started singing it to me and when I heard it today, I was like, oh my gosh, I have heard that song.
So you actually know the song?
I do.
Okay,
I
cool. Cool, because if not, it was going to be bad. Like,
but I am not singing today for you.
Brady, you know the song, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Okay,
my favorite
good.
month of the year.
That's all we got to do. That's all we have to do before we sign off tonight.
Yeah.
Well, that is all the time we have for you today.
Thank you for joining us.
For updates on all these stories and more, visit our website at KentWired.com.
And on social media on all platforms at Kent Wired. I am Brady Hamilton.
I'm Nuried Hurtado.
I'm Matt Corrali.
And I'm Joshua Bailey. Have a great and safe night, Portage County.